Hello and welcome to the Cultured Bumpkin. Doing a little nighttime reading here. I think this is my first time doing poetry on the new setup. So I have a couple of new lights, a new camera. So bear with me if it doesn't look or sound smooth or whatever. But anyway, let's get right down to it. Here is The Hollow Men by T.S. Eliot. We are the hollow men. We are the stuffed men, leaning together, headpiece filled with straw. Alas, our dried voices, when we whisper together, are quiet and meaningless as wind in dry grass, or rat's feet over broken glass in our dry cellar. Shape without form, shade without color, paralyzed force, gesture without motion. Those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom remember us, if at all, not as lost, violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. Eyes I dare not meet in dreams, in death's dream kingdom. These do not appear. There the eyes are sunlight on a broken column. There is a tree swinging and voices in the winds singing, more distant and more solemn than a fading star. Let me be no nearer in death's dream kingdom. Let me also wear such deliberate disguises, rat's coat, crow skin, crossed staves in a field, behaving as the wind behaves, no nearer. Not that final meeting in the twilight kingdom. This is the dead land. This is cactus land. Here the stone images are raised. Here they receive the supplication of a dead man's hand under the twinkle of a fading star. Is it like this in death's other kingdom, waking alone at the hour when we are trembling with tenderness, lips that would kiss form prayers to broken stone? The eyes are not here. There are no eyes here in this valley of dying stars, in this hollow valley, this broken jaw of our lost kingdoms. In this last of meeting places, we grope together and avoid speech, gathered on this beach of the tumid river, sightless unless the eyes reappear as the perpetual star, multifoliate rose of death's twilight kingdom, the hope only of empty men. Here we go round the prickly pear, prickly pear, prickly pear. Here we go round the prickly pear at 5 o'clock in the morning. Between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom. Between the conception and the creation, between the emotion and the response, falls the shadow. Life is very long. Between the desire and the spasm, between the potency and the existence, between the essence and the descent, falls the shadow. For thine is the kingdom. For thine is, life is, for thine is this is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper. That was The Hollow Men by T.S. Eliot. Mariah, hello. Lori, hello. Lori, I wanted to thank you for your order. I saw that you ordered a t-shirt and a couple things. I really appreciate that. I hope that you enjoy them. Hello. Remind me of you told me the other night, you told me your name and I've forgotten it and I want to make sure that I don't. Can you tell me your name one more time? I know you're at the radio station probably right now. Yeah, this is T.S. Eliot. There's a couple, some of the key themes according to the scholars are like disillusionment and despair, This thing I just pulled up says the poem depicts a world that has been shattered by war and violence. It was written right after World War One. The speakers feel lost, disillusioned, without any sense of purpose. They're described as hollow shells of men devoid of any inner substance or meaning. There's a spiritual emptiness to it. The poem explores the loss of religious faith and the search for meaning in a secular world. There's fear and anxiety, and again, the post World War One world had a lot of uncertainty in it. The speakers are haunted by the memories of war, and they're kind of afraid of the future. They're trapped in a world beyond their control, but there's a desire for redemption. Despite the bleakness of the poem, there are also hints of desire for redemption. I think everybody kind of wants that deep down in some way. And the speakers yearn for a way to escape their despair and find meaning in their lives. Some of the literary techniques of it are fragmentation. The poem's fragmented and disjointed, reflecting the speaker's own sense of fragmentation and alienation. Like it doesn't all flow together like some poems. There's irony, allusions, imagery. There's just some different aspects to it. And the hollow men. Janet, what's going on? It's poetry night. If anybody has a poem, let me know. And maybe we can do another one. That is great. What sonnet? Like a Shakespeare sonnet or someone else? I know a lot of people, Pablo Neruda did sonnets. Elizabeth Barrett Browning did sonnets. And then also what local accent? I love local accents. Drew. Okay, good deal. Drew. I have a bad memory, but usually when I say it a few times, have a conversation, I will remember. Excuse me. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Drew, you got to tell us. Was this live on the radio or is this on your own personal thing? Ah, perfect. Have you ever read The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde? No, I haven't. The only thing that I've ever done by Oscar Wilde on here is a story called The Model Millionaire, and it's very funny, very heartwarming. And Oscar Wilde was a hoot. Like, he's a real hoot. That was a funny dude. Where is that? Like Virginia or something? What is that? I'm not even sure I know where that is. I'm beginning to like him. Used to I didn't like him. I'm beginning to like him as well. I heard a lecture by Jeremy Irons, the voice of Scar in the original Lion King, and he loves T.S. Eliot, and he has a whole audiobook of T.S. Eliot, and he kind of gave this lecture on why you should like Eliot, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give him a chance. And then listening to Jeremy Irons read is amazing. On my personal channel. Good deal. Well, I don't know if you can do that, but do drop it in the chat here if you can, or tell us the name of it anyway. I want to hear that. Janet, I'm so glad to hear it. Okay. So near Emerald Isle. Like where Blackbeard's ship went down. Is that right? Where Blackbeard got what is it? Emerald Isle, Beaufort, that kind of thing. Okay, I have been to Beaufort and seen that sign, right? Excuse me. That says, or I'm sorry, well, Beaufort too, but Swansboro. There's a sign in Swansboro that I've seen. Okay, north about. Okay, well, I know about where that is then. That's really cool. Really cool. Uh, Caramel fudge. So how do y'all say that? Caramel or caramel? Some up here people fight about. I say caramel, but I obviously that's not. I realize looking at the word, it's caramel is that was probably proper, but I've always said caramel. Sort of like pecan and pecan. And I really wish that YouTube had a feature for distributing uh, distributing fudge via internet link up. Rudyard Kipling does. Rudyard Kipling does. It's not local accent. I really want to hear that. I really need to hear this. That sort of thing fascinates me. Swan. Okay, good deal. I was actually in Swansboro the other day. Great little town. I really like it. Ate at a little like a little pub there on the water there by the dock. It's nice. Okay, how about a poem? What do we got? Shall we read Kipling? All right. Let's see. We'll do the old standby Rudyard Kipling if I like it. But yeah, if anybody has another one, drop it in the chat. Maybe we'll read it. Just do a classic poetry reading. I like this little program. It's cool. See? Whoops. Boom. All right. If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That's a good one. Check out Drew at Drew Derelict. I'm assuming that's a YouTube channel. Is that right? At Drew Derelict. That's great. I'm writing that down. At Drew Derelict. Nice. I look forward to seeing that. I love other people's take on the arts and such. Oh, Drew, is this on YouTube? It is. I'm way behind y'all. Okay, I need to just scroll down. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. How's about another poem? All right. How about something by Lord Tennyson? Awesome. You'll probably beat me to it, Janet, since I'm on here, but that's great. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go check out your stuff as well. All right, so let's do Alfred Lord Tennyson and Ulysses. Now, this is, I don't know, I like this because it's a poem about sort of, an old warrior who is getting old and yet finding value in that in its own way. It little profits that an idle king by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vex the dim sea. I am become a name, for always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rest unburnished, not to shine in use, as to breathe were life. Life piled on life were all too little, and one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things, and vile it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself. And this gray spirit yearning and desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, and by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods when I am gone. He works his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail. There gloom the dark, broad sea. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought, and thought with me that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes. The slow moon climbs. The deep moans round about with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be that we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles, whom we knew, though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength with, though not now, and though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Ulysses by Lord Tennyson. Excuse me. The right, I watched it too last night. Thank you, Janet, for the link, because I was thinking about I was like, I need to watch that, and then you sent me the link and I just pulled it up. I think it's on Netflix, but I was just like, I'll just watch this link. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, another. Another one here. Well, can't find that other one. Let's do a Robert Frost poem. After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. My long two-pointed ladder's sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night. The scent of apples, I am drowsing all. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. I got looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish and hand, lift down, and not let fall. For all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble the sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is, were he not gone. The woodchuck could either weather its like his long sleep as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Maybe we'll do another T.S. Eliot. Let's do this. $12. Along the reaches of the street, held in a lunar synthesis, whispering lunar incantations, dissolve the floors of memory and all its clear relations, its divisions and precisions. Every street lamp that I pass beats like a fatalistic drum, and through the spaces of the dark, midnight shakes the memory as a madman shakes a dead geranium. 1:30. The street lamp sputtered. The street lamp muttered. The street lamp said, "Regard that woman who hesitates toward you in the light of the door, which opens on her like a grin. You see the border of her dress is torn and stained with sand, and you see the corner of her eye twists like a crooked pin. The memory throws up high and dry a crowd of twisted things, a twisted branch upon the beach, eaten smooth and polished, as if the world gave up the scent of its skeleton, stiff and white, a broken spring in a factory yard, rust that clings to the form that the strength has left hard and curled and ready to snap. 2:30. The street lamp said, "Remark the cat which flattens itself in the gutter, slips out its tongue, and devours a morsel of rancid butter." So the hand of a child, automatic, slipped out and pocketed a toy that was running along the quay. I could see nothing behind that child's eye. I have seen eyes in the street trying to peer through the lighted shutters, and a crab one afternoon in a pool, an old crab with barnacles on his back, gripped the end of a stick which I held to him. 3:30. The lamp sputtered. The lamp muttered in the dark. The lamp hummed. Regard the moon, la lune ne garde aucune rancune. She winks a feeble eye. She smiles into corners. She smooths the hair of the grass. The moon has lost her memory. A washed-out smallpox cracks her face. Her hand twists a paper rose that smells of dust and old cologne. She is alone, with all the old nocturnal smells that cross and cross across her brain. The reminiscence comes of sunless, dry geraniums and dust in crevices, smells of chestnuts in the streets, and female smells in shuttered rooms, and cigarettes in corridors, and cocktail smells in bars. The lamp said 4 o'clock. Here's the number on the door. Memory, you have the key. The little lamp spreads a ring on the straight. The little lamp spreads a ring on the stair mount. The bed is open. The toothbrush hangs on the wall. Put your shoes at the door. Sleep. Prepare for life. The last twist of the knife. Rhapsody on a Windy Night by T.S. Eliot. OTS. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. Now, since I am running this by a camera, it could be at a certain point that this thing just cuts out. And I don't think the feed will stop, but the camera might go out. So I'm kind of interested to see how long that will take. I think it's around the 40-minute mark, which is coming up. Let's see. I'm going to do, here's one called Grief by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I really like this one. Grief by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I tell you, hopeless grief is passionless, that only men incredulous of despair, half taught in anguish, through the midnight air, beat upward to God's throne in loud access of shrieking and reproach. Full desertness in souls as countries lieth silent bare under the blanching vertical eye glare of the absolute heavens. Deep-hearted man, express grief for thy dead in silence like to death, most like a monumental statue set in everlasting watch and moveless woe, till itself crumble to the dust beneath. Touch it. The marble eyelids are not wet. If it could weep, it could arise and go. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Grief. Also by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Number 14 in her Sonnets from the Portuguese, number 14. If thou must love me, let it be for naught except for love's sake only. Do not say I love her for her smile, her look, her way of speaking gently, for a trick of thought that falls in well with mine, and certes brought a sense of pleasant ease on such a day. For these things in themselves, beloved, may be changed, or change for thee, and love so wrought may be unwrought so. Neither love me for mine own dear pity's wiping my cheeks dry. A creature might forget to weep who bore thy comfort long and lose thy love thereby. But love me for love's sake, that evermore thou mayest love on through love's eternity. Like old Liz. Amazing, amazing poet. So was her husband. They would have been quite the pair to hang out with, I think. Isn't that beautiful? Let's see. I love poems. Like I like them so much. So while we're in the Elizabeth Barrett Browning section, here's one called My Heart and I. Enough. We're tired, my heart and I. We sit beside the headstone thus, and wish that name were carved for us. The moss reprints more tenderly the hard types of the mason's knife, as heaven's sweet life renews earth's life, with which we're tired, my heart and I. You see, we're tired, my heart and I. We dealt with books, we trusted men, and in our own blood drenched the pen, as if such colors could not fly. We walked too straight for fortune's end. We loved too true to keep a friend. At last we're tired, my heart and I. How tired we feel, my heart and I. We seem of no use in the world. Our fancies hang gray and uncurled about men's eyes indifferently. Our voice, which thrilled you so, will let you sleep. Our tears are only wet. What do we have here, my heart and I? So tired, my heart and I. It was not thus in that old time when Ralph sat with me neath the lime to watch the sunset from the sky. Dear love, you're looking tired, he said. I, smiling at him, shook my head. 'Tis now we're tired, my heart and I. So tired, my heart and I. Though now none takes me on his arm to fold me close and kiss me warm, to each quick breath end in a sigh of happy languor. Now, alone, we lean upon the graveyard stone, uncheered, unkissed, my heart and I. Tired out we are, my heart and I. Suppose the world brought diadems to tempt us, crusted with loose gems of power and pleasures. Let us try. We scarcely care to look at even a pretty child or God's blue heaven. We feel so tired, my heart and I. Yet who complains, my heart and I? In this abundant earth, no doubt, is little room for things worn out. Disdain them, break them, throw them by, and if before the days grew rough, we once were loved, used, well enough, I think we've fared, my heart and I. Beautiful. Beautiful. I agree, Mariah. Your folks are really missing out. I think somebody, I heard a guy say that poetry is language condensed into its purest form, like it's like a laser. So instead of like a candle or a lantern, it's condensed into very intense whatever you're trying to do. And poetry is, I don't know, it just makes you feel like someone has felt what you felt before, and you kind of feel heard and such, right? Yeah, it wasn't me, it was some, poetry professor. But I heard it and I agreed. Mm, okay, this one is a classic, and I really like this one. I'm a big fan of history, and even though this is, embellished, this is not, um, like word for word history. It's it's really good. Where is it? Oh, I thought it was on this one. It's not. Um, we're right at about that 40-minute mark, so the camera might cut out. I don't think the stream will stop. I think the screen will turn black, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kinda waiting on this battery. I've ordered a little a little like a power pack that I can just plug in and plug into the wall. That way I don't have to worry about the battery life, but it hadn't come in yet, so hmm, I don't know. I can't find it. Are you kidding me? Oh, well. Oh, they want you to, okay, never mind. Searching, searching. That's awesome. Yeah, go go check out Drew Derelict, right? Is that where we're met? So yeah, go check him out. Well, I don't know why. Okay, never mind. Wait. Here we go. Okay, I just finally pulled it up. The Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It's about the events, based on the events of, really it was the year before we declared independence, but the war had already kicked off. We had already had some some touch points, and then this was one of the big engagements that kicked off. The government was marching on Lexington and Concord to confiscate firearms. They didn't want. They knew when you know normal people have access to weapons that are similar to the government, then they're hard to control. And so the British were going to go get them. Well, they met them on Lexington Green, and that's where the war started. Anyway, Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, "If the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light, 1 if by land, and 2 if by sea. And I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm." Then he said, "Good night," and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charlestown shore. Just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset, British man-o'-war, a phantom ship with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend through alley and street wanders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. Then he climbed the tower of the old North Church by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade. By the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper, "All is well." A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour, and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadow something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride on the opposite shore, walked Paul Revere. Now he petted his horse's side, now gazed at the landscape far and near, then impetuous, stamped the earth and turned and tightened his saddle girth, but mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns, a hurry of hooves in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles in passing a spark struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all. And yet through the gloom and the light, The fate of a nation was riding that high, and the sparks struck out by the steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with his heat. He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep, is the mystic meeting the ocean tide. And under the alders, the skirt, its edge, now soft on the sand, and loud on the ledge is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed the bridge into Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog, and felt the damp of the river fog that rises after the sun goes down. It was by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting-house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he came on the bridge to Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock and the twitter of birds among the trees, and felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadows brown. And one was safe and asleep in his bed who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest. In the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball, from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For born on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, to the people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere. Great poem. And again, that's focusing on one bit. There was actually a whole team of guys that sent the message out, but that one focuses on old Paul. Hoping there'd be poetry time tonight. Boom, there it is. Exactly. That's cool. That's cool. It's fun. It's fun hanging out with other folks that that like it, like poetry, appreciate it. Good deal. I'm glad you find it relaxing. I'm actually further along than I thought. I'm hoping to make it to an hour before this battery cuts out. If I can do an hour, that'll be good. I'll kind of know I'll know how long the battery lasts on this webcam. So let's see. We might have time for another. Let's see. Here's one, also by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The day is done. The day is done, and the darkness falls from the wings of night, as a feather is wafted downward from an eagle in his flight. I see the lights of the village gleam through the rain and the mist, and a feeling of sadness comes o'er me that my soul cannot resist. A feeling of sadness and longing that is not akin to pain, and resembles sorrow only as the mist resembles the rain. Come, read to me some poem, some simple and heartfelt lay that shall soothe this restless feeling and banish the thoughts of day. Not from the grand old masters, not from the bard sublime, whose distant footsteps echo through the corridors of time. For like strains of marital music, their mighty thoughts suggest life's endless toil and endeavor, and tonight I long for rest. Read from some humbler poet, whose songs gushed from his heart, as showers from the clouds of summer, or tears from the eyelids start, who through long days of labor and nights devoid of ease, still heard in his soul the music of wonderful melodies. Such songs have power to quiet the restless pulse of care, and come like the benediction that follows after prayer. Then read from the treasured volume the poem of thy choice, and lend to the rhyme of the poet the beauty of thy voice. And the night shall be filled with music, and the cares that infest the day shall fold their tents like the Arabs, and as silently steal away. Love that one. Oh, and another Henry Wadsworth Longfellow that I love while I'm on this section of a little list of poems. A Psalm of Life. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, howe'er pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act, act in the living present, heart within, and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing. Learn to labor and to wait. A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Excuse me. Definitely. My dad used to do that when I was a kid, and it developed a love for it at a young age, and I'm really glad. Well, let's see if we got one more little tiny one to put us over the edge. Let's do Break, Break, Break by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Break, break, break on thy cold gray stones, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Oh, well for the fisherman's boy that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh, well for the sailor lad that he sings on his boat on the bay. And the stately ship goes on to their haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still. Break, break, break at the foot of thy crags, O sea, but the tender grace of a day that is dead will never come back to me. Break, 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 Alfred Lord Tennyson. Well, we are right at about an hour, and I've got some editing I need to do. So I'm going to let all of you wonderful folks go. And it was really good hanging out with y'all. And yeah, so thank you all. You're all wonderful. I love each and every one of you. And I hope that you have an excellent, morning at this point. Hope you have a great rest of the shift, Drew. Thank you for sharing your stuff, and I will definitely go check you out. And so, hope to see y'all again very soon. Have a great night.